Hey, this is Lee Balcom. And one of the questions I often get from people is this too far gone? Is it too late to work on my marriage? And, sometimes it's kind of surprises me when that question pops up. So I had somebody just yesterday who set up an appointment with me. Right, so they booked an appointment, went through all the trouble to do that, put the money on the table to meet with me. And so I was asking, what is it that we need to do in this next 50 minutes to get you moving forward? What is it that you need from this to make it a successful session, which pretty much is where I start every session because I need to know where the person who's coming to me wants to go. And so here we are with 50 minutes on our hand, and the person said, I have one major question. And the major question was, is it too late? And how do I know if it's too late to work on this marriage? So when I got off of that, I started thinking back on how often I've gotten that question, how often I've gotten it by email, how often I've gotten it put into my coaching questions, how often my coaches have heard the same question. And I know what's behind it. We all want to know that whatever goal we have is achievable, right? That we are headed in the direction that we can go. And so many times the question is really a question of, do I even spend my time on this? In fact, as one person even said it more bluntly, do I waste my time on this? Do I waste my time on trying to save my marriage, or is it too late? And so there are some times when I will say right off the bat, it is too late to be working on this. And so let me first draw that distinction because I want to be very clear. Whenever I hear that there is abuse going on in a relationship, whether it's physical or emotional abuse, my suggestion is that you don't work on saving the marriage at that time. Now, it's possible to come back from that down the road, but it's very rare when it's crossed that line, when it's gotten to the point when it's actually abusive, for it to be able to come back in any healthy way. And so one of the things I've said to people repeatedly is, please do not use my system to save an abusive relationship. In my mind, that is not the appropriate time to be saving a marriage. That is a time to be making sure that the person who has been abused is safe. That's just the bottom line. If you can't be safe, you can't do much more in life. We know that from study after study, that has to be a base level, that you have to be safe and you have to have some sense of safety in order to do that. So sure, there are things for that person to work on about how to set boundaries and how to be clear about keeping that abuse away, about recovering and finding a place of ability to move forward as an individual, because that really is what abuse is. It's about controlling somebody's life and controlling really their mind. And so they've got to kind of rediscover that. So we'll put that aside. That is absolutely one where it is not appropriate, not the time, and probably too late to work on it. Now, there are other times when people say, at what point do we then draw the line on it's too late? I've had people who have saved their marriage after divorcing. So they've gone through all of the process of working on things, gotten to the end, even divorced, even gone through the legal process of divorcing, and then decided that's not really what they wanted, that maybe divorce wasn't what they expected. Maybe there was more in this relationship than they gave it credit, but there's something else there and they were able to bring that relationship back. So it's not really the legal process. That doesn't determine it. So sometimes people say, well, what if my spouse says, I no longer love you? Right? Or even, so there's the I no longer love you. I don't feel that love for you. But very closely in line to that is when people say, I love you, but I'm no longer in love with you, or I don't love you. I love you, but I'm not in love with you, right? And so I even have a video that I talk about this, and I've talked about it many times in my writing and in my podcast, that fact isn't the necessary endpoint for a relationship because of why we fall in love. falling in love is an overabundance of connection. Well, not really overabundance, but it's an abundance of connection, right? And so it overflows. The relationship is overflowing with connection. And so you feel this deep connection with this other person, and there's reciprocation in that. And because of that, you develop these feelings of in love. And so that goes beyond love. So we can talk about many of the different levels and layers of love, but usually we have this really, I like somebody and am attracted to them, that over time can develop into I'm in love with this person. And that's one of the clear distinctions. Sometimes people are like, well, I'm no longer feeling that strong attraction to my spouse. First of all, feeling attraction is not the same about being in love with somebody or even loving somebody. You can have an attraction to lots of people because of how they look and act and other things that don't mean that you're in love with them or that you even love them, right? So there's that fact. The other fact is that in any relationship, there is a shift that happens in the relationship. So when we first meet somebody, there is that attraction, and then we begin to work on connection. And as the attraction helps us and guide that connection, we build further and further layers of connection on the three areas that I've talked about, three layers of physical, emotional, and spiritual connection. And all of those create this strong bond. And part of that in the beginning of a relationship is what some scientists have talked about as being adrenaline-based attraction. Because there is this charge we get out of being with this person, this excitement we get from being with this person, which is adrenaline-based. And so part of that excitement sometimes is, I don't want to lose this person. So what do we do in response to, I don't want to lose this person? Part of it is we deepen our commitment, and we want there to be a reciprocal deepening of commitment, right? And so eventually that leads to saying, let's get married. And then I do commit to this relationship. But at some point, there is a shift that has to happen in a relationship to go from adrenaline-based to endorphin-based attraction. So adrenaline-based has that adrenaline flowing because there's this, you don't want to lose this person. There's this possibility, and you're working on rebuilding that or building that stronger so you have this permanent state. And then it goes to endorphin-based. Adrenaline-based has some fear level to it all the time. Endorphin-based, not so much. Our endorphins are what are triggered when we act in loving ways towards somebody. If you get the warm fuzzies in doing something kind for somebody else, and even when somebody does something kind to you, right? You feel that endorphin rush. That's endorphin attraction, which takes action. Endorphin attraction takes action. We do loving things, which is part of the problem when we hit that pause button, because no longer are we doing those actions that led to the endorphin attraction. And that's the breakdown that we have. And so suddenly the feelings of deeper connection begin to fall away. So yes, you could say, well, I still love you. Like I love you as the parent of my kids, or I love you as a friend, or I love you as, lots of other ways. But I don't have that abundance of connection anymore. And therefore that's fallen away. And so the question is that when it's too late? No. Why? Because you can work on rebuilding the connection. Because we humans are wired to have that deep need for connection. Deepest in a marital relationship, because that is where we've promised that no matter what happens, no matter what comes our way, no matter what days we have coming our way, we are going to stick together as a team. We're in this together. We don't say that with anyone else in our life. Our kids, we deeply love, but one day they're going to go out on their life, and we're not going to say, no matter what, I'm tied to you, at least not in a healthy way. No matter what, I am tied to you, and we are in this together, because they're going to have their separate life that they're developing. Are they still family? Absolutely. Are they still your kids? Absolutely. But are they bound in that same way as with a spouse? No. Parents? Nope. They're going to go their own way, right? And they're going to do their thing. And so you haven't bound it to them. Siblings? No, you have a sibling connection with them, but you're still not promising that where their life goes, your life goes, and where your life goes, their life goes. So what does that leave? A spouse. So friends can come and go also. You don't bind your future for them. So, because of that bond, you have the potential for rebuilding connection. Potential. When the connection begins to be severed, though, at some point, it becomes so hard to rebuild that you may not be able to get back there. So if you've seen my video on the different levels of disconnection, I had this conversation yesterday. Someone was like, why is my spouse so angry and hurtful towards me? Because they've hit disdain, right? And that's one of those, the kind of, as you're curving down, that's one of those lower points on the arc of disconnection. So we go from the arc of connection. At the top, we can either keep kind of going in that direction, or we can begin to fall down into the arc of disconnection just simply by hitting the pause button. So as we go down that level, more and more hurt, which leads to more and more anger, which leads to more and more resentment, which leads to disdain, can enter into the relationship. And so at that point, it's sometimes you just can't make it back because somebody is saying, I'm not having anything to do with you, right? We've so choked off the connection that now the connection is lifeless. So at that point, it can often be too late. So is it possible that after getting a divorce, it's too late? Yes. Is it possible that after being so disconnected, it's too late? Yes. Is it possible that it happens before that? Yes. So the question is, how do you know if it's too late? And I'm going to give you that secret right now. This is the way you determine if it's too late to save your marriage. You work on it. That is the only way that you will know whether it's too late or not. You work on it. Can you restore it? Now, you may say, well, I don't know what to do with that. Okay, that's a matter of finding the tools, finding the resources, finding the understandings, right? That is a category where many people are, where they just don't know, and to be honest, never quite knew how to be married, right? I mean, because if you know how to be married, you might be able to navigate through those different shifts along the way, stay connected, work on the hurt, work on forgiveness, work on yourself, work on all the things I've talked about, and stay in that relationship long enough for it to heal, long enough for it to find its legs and continue moving forward. So if the first answer you have for me is when I say the way you know is by working on it, and you go, I don't know what to do, that's a knowledge deficit. We can fix knowledge deficits. So that's one issue. Many people don't know how to save their marriage. So they don't know what to do when it's in a crisis. If that's you, come visit me at SaveTheMarriage.com. Now, let's continue down a little bit more, because there is another level, and that is not about the knowledge. That's about you. It is certainly possible for somebody to say, I don't want to go through the trouble. I'm not going to take that on. It's just not worth the effort. And if that is the case, it's again too late. Because no matter what I say, it's not going to get in there because you're just going, that's too late. I don't have the energy. And here is the thing that I've observed over and over. And by the way, before I go to what I've observed over and over, let me say, if that is the case, you're probably not watching my video because you will have given up. You're watching this, maybe listening to my podcast, maybe reading my books, because you still want to find a path forward. You still want to find a path to restoring your relationship. So I'm not going to put in the effort generally don't make it to here. So we have the deficit piece. That's one piece of it. But what I've observed over and over is that many people are almost at the exact same place their spouse is, about hurt, about disappointment, about feeling unheard, feeling unloved, feeling disconnected. And so what's interesting is it's not like I have one person coming to me going, oh, I feel all the love and joy and everything else, but my spouse doesn't. So how do I get them to feel this? It's usually both people are feeling the pain. It's just that one is saying, I don't think I want to stay married, and the other's going, I want to find a way forward. The common theme is they both feel the hurt. That's the interesting thing about this. There's something that's going on that has you asking a question, what can I do? And I want you to recognize that that is different than lots of other people who just simply walk away. As soon as there is a discussion about, this isn't working for us, I don't feel the love, I don't feel love for you, I don't feel this connection, I don't want to be married anymore, it's possible for somebody to say, that's fine, I don't either. But they're not watching this video, you are. Which tells me 16 minutes into this conversation, it tells me that there's something inside of you going, I want to move forward. And so part of why you're watching this is because you wanted to know, is it too late? Is it too late to work on this? The answer to that is the only way to determine if it's too late, as long as you don't give up, is to try. That's true everywhere in life. You have an idea and you want to know if that business will work. There's only one way to find out. Do it. You have a thought about a hobby you might like, and you're like, I wonder if I would really enjoy doing that. There's only one way to find out. Try it. You decide that maybe you want to explore other places to live. There's only one way you're going to find out, and that's going and looking right there. I mean, that's what we as humans do, or we give up. There's only two possibilities. So either you work on it and see that there's nothing you can do, or you give up and then there's nothing you can do. Do you see why I want to have this conversation with you? Because if somebody is calling me, somebody is reading my material, somebody is working with me in coaching, it's not a question of, is it too late? It's a question of, what do we do? How do you move forward? And there are only 3 pieces to this puzzle. I didn't say that they're easy pieces. I just wanted to say there are 3 pieces that we focus on. Connecting with your spouse, because we've got to get you reconnected and heal the hurt. Changing yourself, because there's stagnation that comes into all of us, and we need to find a better way of showing up fully in life, more engaged, more purposeful, more committed to that, more passionate about that. And we have to create a new path. As I talked about in my last video, that path is to being a team. Those are the 3 elements to it. Now, there are lots of pieces in there that you may need help with. And that's why I created the Save the Marriage system. But that gives you the kind of the guidelines that you want to use as you're trying to say, can I work on this? The answer is yes. Sometimes people will say, but my spouse isn't going to respond. You can still work on things. There are things you can do, and it's better to do it the right way early on than to find yourself at a dead end down the road. So let's talk about how to do it the right way, the effective way. So come visit me at savethemarriage.com, because the only way to find out is for us to make sure that you don't have the knowledge deficit, because I know you're here because you're not also walking away. You're not giving up. So let's put those together. Let's find you a path forward, a way for you to move forward, a way for you to take action. Visit me, savethemarriage.com. That's savethemarriage.com. And this is Lee Baucom wishing you the best as you work to save your marriage.